Everybody want to mute, perhaps?
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to City of Mount Pearl Public Council meeting for October the 6th of 2020. Another beautiful day in the City of Mount Pearl with blue sky and sunshine as I look out our window here. Nice to see all my colleagues around the table and our senior management. So let's move right on here. We have the agenda before us. So I'd call for a motion to accept the agenda as presented. Moved by Councillor Stoyles and seconded by Councillor Antle. Call the question. All those in favor? Contrary-minded? Motion is carried. That moves on. Thus now the next is the adoption of the minutes from our September 22nd meeting. Can I have a motion to adopt the minutes as presented? Moved by Councillor Fry, seconded by Councillor Antle. Okay, are there any errors or omissions from the minutes of September 22nd? None noted. Okay, let's call the question then. All those in favor? Contrary-minded? Motion is carried. That then brings us to business arising from the minutes of September 22nd or the attached action report. And if you have any questions, could I ask that you outline the number for us? Any business arising? Councillor Antle?
Just a quick note, I'd like to ask Councillor Fry and Councillor Stoyles. I know they attended the Diversity Matters seminar this week.
Yes.
And I wonder if we get a quick update on Wednesday night's meeting. I think Councillor Stoyles was a guest speaker.
Actually, I wasn't guest speaker, Councillor Antle. I actually brought greetings on behalf of the city. Councillor Fry brought meetings at the first one and I brought greetings, and actually it was very well attended. And even after the meeting, I received a call from a potential candidate who's looking at running in the upcoming election, and I'm going to be meeting with a lady in the next week or so to discuss her entering politics, and it was very interesting. Actually, I found it quite interesting. It went on a bit longer than the first one, and it was anybody interested out there in getting involved in politics. All the information was there, and there's still information there if anybody is interested in it. And as we said at the meeting, anybody that would like to talk to, what they need to do if they're planning on running, they can certainly give me a call. As I indicated before, I've spent 25 years with the City of Mount Pearl, and I'm not planning on offering myself for re-election again. And even if I was, I wouldn't mind meeting with people and telling them what they need to do to run for political office and that. So I was very informative, and Councillor Fry was at the meeting as well. I don't know if she has anything to add to it.
I thought the meetings they were fantastic. Like the Diversity Matters series was topics of such importance and such relevance. And the question and answer sessions from both of them were very engaged, so that was a really good sign. I know that Councillor Stoyles did a great job in her introduction on Wednesday. She spoke of her own experience and gave some very, very valuable advice, some of which she gave to me when I was interested in running for politics. So I can say that she's definitely a valuable source there. Anyway, I thought both of the sessions were great. They were well attended, and I'd like to see perhaps doing more of them down the road if we can. Great job to everybody involved. Thank you.
Oh, very nice. I know that Councillor Stoyles is a wealth of information, having been involved for 25 years. So I know how kind she is with her time. Should anybody need any advice, I know that Councillor Stoyles will certainly be there to offer any that she has. Thank you for that there, ladies. Anything else from the business arising? Okay, none noted. Okay, or the action report. Well, that then brings us, as I scroll down, excuse me for a second, that brings us to our proclamations. Proclamation. This week is Fire Prevention Week. We bring this in every year, and it's extremely, extremely important. So I'll read this into the record here. It says, whereas the City of Mount Pearl is committed to ensuring the safety and security of all those living and visiting our city, and whereas fire is a serious public safety concern, both locally and nationally, and homes are where people are at greatest risk of fire. And whereas cooking equipment is the leading cause of home structure fires and associated injuries are the third leading cause of home fire deaths. And whereas heating and electrical equipment and smoking materials are among the leading causes of reported home fires. And whereas working smoke alarms cut the risk of dying in reported home fires in half. And whereas City of Mount Pearl first responders are dedicated to reducing the occurrence of home fires and home fire deaths and injuries through prevention and protection education. And whereas Mount Pearl residents are responsive to public education measures and are able to take personal steps to increase their safety from fire, especially in their homes. And whereas residents who have planned and practiced a home fire escape plan are more prepared and will therefore be more likely to survive a fire. And whereas the Fire Prevention Week theme for 2020 is, quote, serve up fire safety in the kitchen, effectively serves to remind us all the simple actions we can take to stay safer from fire during Fire Prevention Week and indeed year round. Therefore, I, Jim Locke, the Deputy Mayor of the City of Mount Pearl, do hereby proclaim the week of October 4th to October 10th of 2020 as Fire Prevention Week. I urge all the people of Mount Pearl to heed the important safety messages of Fire Prevention Week 2020 and to support the many public safety activities and efforts of the St. John's Regional Fire Department's Fire and Emergency Service. I call upon the people of the City of Mount Pearl to participate in fire prevention activities at home, at work, at school, and to take the steps needed to make their homes and families safe from the leading causes of home fires, which include cooking, heating, and electrical. So I thereby, on behalf of the City of Mount Pearl and the citizens, I will sign this and date it October the 6th of 2020. Council, would anyone like to speak to this week's proclamation? Councillor Antle?
Deputy Mayor, as co-chair of the Regional Fire Committee here, along with Wally Collins, Councillor Wally Collins from St. John's, and I think Councillor Fry serves on that committee with me also. I don't think that I know, I'm sorry. We meet with the fire department every 6 weeks or so, and it's certainly great to see our fire department are so well trained. Training is paramount with our regional fire department. It's training and education. They're constantly going into homes and schools to talk about fire education. I mean, fire education, fire prevention is key. And as this is Fire Prevention Week, every day is Fire Prevention Week, I think. So it's first, we should always be thankful that our fire department is there to protect us. And this year, it's a little bit stay closer to me this year. My son lives out in Massey Drive in Corner Brook. And this year he joined the volunteer fire department. Oh, and he's constantly telling me, fire prevention. He has a page with him all the time, 24/7. So our firefighters, whatever we can do to support them, they keep us safe. And this is a great thing to do, Fire Prevention Week. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Antle. Councillor Stoyles?
I don't know, I'm on mute. I don't know, I'm not on mute. I thought I put myself on mute. I also wanted to say great job done at the firefighters, but I wanted to add a little bit more information because the firemen does more than put out fires and respond to fires. Their emergency response, normally they're the first one at an accident, and they've saved more people from heart attacks and getting people to hospital on time, especially if an ambulance is not available. They're the first ones when you call 911 to respond. So they do more than just put out fires. And I think is important to note that to the public, how important our firefighters are and how much we appreciate all they do.
Thank you. Very well said. And like Councillor Antle said, they're there 24/7 while we're tucked away in our beds asleep. They're on duty and on call should anything arise. So nice comments indeed. Okay, if there's nothing else, that brings us then to our first standing committee report. And up first today is Infrastructure and Public Works. And I think Councillor Stoyles will bring in that report.
I will so. We have a couple of items there this evening. The first one is a change order. CO number 14 is regarding Glendale Avenue, Bradley Place upgrade. And this visual management was a project manager and Dexter's Construction. And basically, when this was done, there was a grading issue on 47 Glendale Avenue. So we're recommending that the change order will to fix that grading issue and put a retaining wall in. The estimate and overrun on that project is 17,793.45. And of course, our production management vigilant is recommending that we will do this, and it's within budget, and I so move.
It's moved by Councillor Stoyles. It's seconded by Councillor Fry. Any comments or questions here, Council? I know to Councillor Stoyles, sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead.
No, please, you first.
I was just going to ask what makes this one different than any of the others, just for clarification.
It was our issue because we changed the grade in the road. So it was the city, when we did the upgrade on the road, the grading was out. So it was us doing it. It's not somebody else. It wasn't the resident problem. It was because we did the road and the grading wasn't right with his driveway, right?
Yeah, I was going to comment as well, and to Councillor Fry's question. This seemed to be a unique case because there was a little bit of a gradient change, and usually what we'll do is reinstall any driveways that are cut, and also lay sods or regrade the landscape. But in this particular case, because this large tree was very close to the sidewalk for the upgrades, and the gradient differential, the road was lowered a little bit in the engineering design. My understanding was to improve water management and the flow of water away from it. Then in this particular case, because they had to remove a portion of the lawn, some of the roots were exposed. So this was sort of a unique case in that it was recommended by our engineers and the consultants there that, to protect the tree, a retaining wall was recommended in this particular case. So it's sort of a unique circumstance. And generally, our staff and our workers, the people doing the work, are able to, regrade and resod the lawns with little difficulty. But this was a little unique in the fact that we had a large tree there, it was quite tall and old. So this was deemed the best solution in this circumstance. Director Antle, did I touch on everything there? Is there anything else that you would like to add, or?
You hit the main points, Deputy Mayor. The only thing I'd add is we also redid the driveway because the grade was so significant in this case. We repaved the driveway as well.
Okay, great. All right, if there's nothing else, let's call the question then. All those in favor? Contrary minded? Motion is carried. Thank you, Councillor Stoyles.
The next item we have is we're recommending that we purchase a 4x4 tractor, and the amount of the tractor, we received a number of bids, is $45,844.75, and the lowest bidder was Atlantic Trailers and Equipment, and I so move.
It's moved by Councillor Stoyles, seconded by Councillor Fry. Comments or questions? So this is to replace, I think, as Councillor Stoyles indicated, a 22-year-old tractor. So it's had its good life here. And it comes down to how much money do you put in trying to fix an aging piece of equipment. So, it becomes a safety issue after a while. So Councillor Antle wanted to make a comment.
Just a quick question. The tractor that's 22 years old, do we keep that or do we sell that tractor?
Director Antle, can you?
We would auction off all of our old equipment. So that's what would happen to that.
It's no good use as a spare or some other thing?
Generally speaking, by the time we're finished with this tractor, there won't be much that we'll be able to salvage with that. So in this case, it'll be an option for sure.
After 22 years, I don't think there's much left, I guess, except the bucket.
If there's any spare, we'll take the parts.
Okay, we'll use what we can. Okay, let's call the question. All those in favor? Contrary minded? Motion is carried. Okay.
All right, we have a couple of other items. We have the pedestrian underpass on Richard Nolan and Smallwood and underpass at Richard Nolan. And basically, we had our consultants, Dillon Construction, do a review of our underpasses. This one in particular came back that needed to be repaired immediately. There was 3 options there. Option 1 was, to completely replace the whole thing. Option 2 was to reline it, and option 3 was to do an infill of concrete, and that was the lowest price. And basically our contractor, our consultant is saying this will last for up to 40 years once we do this, and the amount to do this is 398.47.26. This is $80,000 more than we had included, but we're recommending that it will be done because our consultant is saying that it needs to be done right away. So we're recommending that we will we use 80,579 out the multi-year capital works, which we still have money to transfer over into 2020 and 2021. And I so move.
Okay, it's moved by Councillor Stoyles and seconded by Councillor Fry. Any comments or questions here? No, let's call the question. All those in favor? Contrary minded, motion is carried. Thank you, Councillor Stoyles.
Thank you. Next item is back in September 22nd, I brought in a notion of motion regarding our snow clearing regulations. Of course, safety is always prime in our minds, especially when it comes to snow clearing. We made a number of changes, as I've read in the public record back on September 22nd. So I'm not going to read it all again because I read the notion of motion back in September, on September 22nd. So there is a few little minor adjustments or changes to the regulation, and is in section 9, and was added to it is there in section 9. Every person or individual or company retain for snow clearing. And then under B, under section B is added and or, and under section C shall be liable for the cost of snow removal and remission and was in the results of damage. And basically, as I said, we want to make sure that when we do our snow clearing, that our regulations is in place, because we don't want people putting snow in the street and causing other people to have accidents and that. So basically it was just a touch up of our regulations, and I'm recommending that we move the new regulations, and I so move.
Are we taking, this is just a notice right now?
No,
It's a
the
notice of
notice was
motion.
out, the notice of motion was in on September 22nd, so I'm moving
The
the
amendments.
new regulations. That's my understanding, right? I'm moving the new amendments and moving the regulations, right? Because I already brought the
okay.
notion of motion in.
Okay,
in
I'll defer
September.
to Ms. Lewis. I think this is, we have to bring this in as a new notice of motion,
Yes,
Okay,
and then we'll vote on it at our next meeting,
yes.
okay.
just
All
for
right,
clarification.
Okay, I missed the last meeting. I was on vacation last week, so
No worries, no worries.
I assumed that we were just bringing it in for, all right. So that's the new changes.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Stoyles.
All right. And the next item then is just public safety. We want to just let people know about in any construction zone. Of course, we have a lot of construction on the go, especially on Old Placentia Road and Topsail Road this year. I just wanted people to be mindful. I know the construction season is towards an end now, but we've had a number of people yelling at workers and things like that. We just wanted to let the public know that, we're doing the work a short time gain for long time gain, short time. Yeah. Anyway, we just wanted to remind the public that in the next couple of weeks, everything will be shut down, but just for safety issues, when you see a construction zone and speed signs are reduced and everything, to please, drive carefully and slow down and be respectful for all the people out there working. That's basically just for information only. And of course, the last couple of items we have is just updates on public works. And of course, we have this week and next week left for bulk garbage. And I know my neighborhood is this week. So my whole neighborhood is, most people have stuff out. So like any neighborhood, when the area is bulk garbage, but it's good to see that, yeah, everybody is getting everything cleaned up and everything for this time of the year and ready for the winter. So our staff should be out in the next couple of days, and hopefully by the end of this week, everything in this zone will be done. And then next week, the last zone will be done. And hopefully next year, last year we didn't do an early one because of COVID. So hopefully we'll be back on track from here on in. And come May, April or May, we'll be starting a new bulk garbage collection. And of course, the SADS is already installed on the Richard Lavanier field, and the fleet is getting ready for the winter leak detection, and the work is on the go at UTM. Our maintenance crew is on the way. And I guess the biggest thing I wanted to tell people is we're in the middle of recruiting for our winter staff. We need some operators, and that I don't know if we have a number of how many we actually need, but there's always people retiring and or taking jobs elsewhere, so we are hiring. I don't know if Director Antle has a number of how many people we're actually in the process of hiring this year. I didn't have the numbers because, like I said, I wasn't at the meeting. Director Antle, do you have a number on how many new people we will be looking to hire?
This right now, Councillor Stoyles, we're looking at seasonal equipment operators, and I think it's either 6 or 7 that we're looking at right now. So we're in the process actually of the recruitment right now.
So anybody looking looking for seasonal work and looking for a job with the city, they should send their applications off to the HR department with the City of Mount Pearl, and we're hoping to have a full crew in place by the time the snow comes. And of course,
Excuse me, Councillor Stoyles, just for a second. I think Councillor Antle wanted to make a comment there. Sorry.
Just a quick comment or just a quick question there, Councillor Stoyles. You mentioned that the Lavandier field, the SADs are being done. Are they completed now, or when will they be completed?
I could answer if you'd like me to.
Director Antle, please. Yeah.
They're in the process of the SADs now. They're probably about half the field is done. They're continuing tomorrow as well, as long as the weather is reasonable and it's not too wet. The forecast right now is Thursday, I think, is for some fairly heavy rain. So that impacts cutting sod as well as laying sod. Mm-hmm. So they're doing good progress though. So we expect in the next week, they should be complete.
I'm sure the people at the ball crowd, the men's ball, is quite happy that this is being done. And yeah, I mean, the field is fairly new, so hopefully they'll be able to play early in the spring, depending on the weather again, because it all depends on the weather and when the SADS takes, and if we get a good spring, right?
That's right.
All right, the next couple of items is, again, for information, St. David's work should be finished by October the 2nd. And of course, Glendale work was completed, but there was some outstanding deficiencies relating to driveways and things like that. Topsail Road and that the Corvazan Drive is completed, except for a few deficiencies. Old Placentia Road, the asphalt should be completed by October the 19th. Topsail Road to Duns Lane, it was completed. It should be completed by October 31st. The Mary Queen the World School, the Duns Lane, all that work should be all completed, and everything should be back to normal by October the 31st. And I believe that is it for us. Just like we said, safety is the most word in our life when it comes to people out doing work at staff or construction companies, or the people who win the contracts with the city, all the paving companies and everything. So we just want to be very mindful of people, and especially now coming the spring, because we will be doing more work again and finishing up some of the projects that didn't get finished before the winter. And that is it for us.
Great. Thank you, Councillor Stoyles. That brings us up to our next committee report, and this is Corporate Services and Economic Development Committee. And we'll turn it over now to Councillor Antle.
Thank you, Your Worship. We have a few here invoices for approval. We have 12 invoices to approve here in this time frame, and they're a total of $116,028.11. And just to highlight a couple of these, we have to pay our bills. It's to Dexter Construction for a Roland Drive project for $10,000 and change. And it's for Track Consulting. We're doing our accessible playground for $9,500, and I so move.
It's moved by Councillor Antle and seconded by Councillor Fry. Comments or questions? Okay, let's call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary-minded, motion is carried.
And then we have the payment register and purchase card report for the time frame of September 22nd to September the 3rd for $2,951,028.35. And you can just go for a couple of those there, a couple of big ones there. Again, for Dexter Construction, for all the road work we have done in the city for over $1 million and $697.99. There's also one for Saunders Equipment there for $676,000 and change, and that's for all the equipment we have up in IPW. And also, he has another large one there for $104,000 for our Metrobus that we pay every month. It's certainly a sizable bill. So when you see the Metrobus going around the city, it's interesting to note. Also, you can see our purchase card reports. So this is our credit cards received for that our staff uses, and this makes sure that we're all accountable. And this first one is for July the 6th to August the 5th for a total of, sorry about this, for $8,279.23. And for the second time frame of for August the 6th to September the 5th for a total of $8,491.05. And that's just for your information. It's just on your kits.
Great.
Also, number 3, any questions on any of those?
None seen.
Not-
No.
As I was going by pretty quick, I figured I better slow down. All right.
You're efficient.
There you go. All right. And number 3, it's our foreign direct investment contract award, and we're recommending to award this to Target Marketing for $62,675. 50% of this is fully funded by Can Export, and this is funding used to attract business into the city of Mount Pearl. And this is within our budget, and I so move.
It's moved by Councillor Antle and it's seconded by Councillor Fry. Comments? None noted. Let's call the question then. All those in favor? Contrary-minded? Motion is carried.
And that's it for our committee. Your Worship.
Great. Thank you, Councillor Antle. Our next committee report is the Community Development Committee, and Councillor Fry will deliver this report.
Thank you. First on our agenda tonight is the discretionary use. The committee recommends approval of a discretionary use application from Refresh Contracting Cabinetry Limited. And this is to install a spray paint booth in association with the proposed cabinetry manufacturing business, which includes the painting and assembly of cabinetry and related carpentry work at 94 Clyde Avenue. And that a development permit be issued subject to section 7.15 of the Mount Pearl Development Regulations 2010 and subject to the conditions as set out by the Department of Community Development. And we've reviewed this as a committee, and I so move.
It's moved by Councillor Fry and seconded by Councillor Antle. Comments or questions? None? Okay, let's call the question. All those in favor? Contrary-minded? Motion is carried.
Okay, next, what would normally be really exciting news, we have our safety skeleton for Halloween. And for the information of public, the annual safety skeleton program carried out by the Municipal Enforcement Division in partnership with the Citizens Crime Prevention Committee on Halloween night will not be taking place this year to ensure the safety of our staff and the many volunteers due to COVID-19. Municipal enforcement officers will still be on regular Halloween patrol night for public safety, though.
Okay.
Next, another cancellation. For the information of public, the annual Fall Craft Fair, which took place on Thanksgiving Day at the Reed Center, is also canceled this year due to COVID-19 guidelines. So sad. I don't like reading these things out. Also on Monday, October the 12th, for the information of the public, the Glacier Arena will be closed and the Summit Center will remain open. And please visit the city's website for more information. And that, of course, is Thanksgiving Day.
Mm-hmm.
Next, we have our development permit listing for the period of September the 21st to October the 2nd. So the committee recommends that the following development permit be approved as presented for this particular period. So there are a couple of there. We have Best Practice Inc., which is a home office. We have Mutual Holdings Limited for interior renovations. We have Bercy Cleaners 2010 home office. Green Farm, Newfoundland and Labrador, change of use, and Refresh Contracting and Cabinetry Limited, discretionary use, which is the one we just discussed.
Mhm.
And I so move.
It's moved by Councillor Fry and seconded by Councillor Antle. All those in favor? Contrary-minded? Motion is carried.
Okay, next we have our building permit and occupancy permit listing for the same period, September 21st to October the 2nd. So the committee recommends that the building permits issued for the period of September 21st to October 2nd, showing a total construction value of $324,900 be approved. And further, that the occupancy permit list be accepted as presented. And these are detailed here in your kits. If there are no questions, then I will. Does this one require motion?
Yes.
Yes, I so move.
Okay, so it's moved by Councillor Fry and seconded by Councillor Antle. All those in favor? Contrary-minded? Motion is carried.
And that is the end of our committee report this week.
Well, thank you so much, Councillor Fry. And that then brings us to new business. So we'll start tonight with Councillor Stoyles.
Thank you. I just have a couple of items. I wanted to pass along my sympathy to the Dunn family and to the Locke family. Craig passed away. Of course, a lot of people knew Craig from selling Christmas trees there on Park Avenue and that. His partner was Michelle Locke, and I've known Michelle for a number of years and want to pass along my sympathy to her children and, of course, to Craig's children as well. And Rosemary Yao, another resident of Mount Pearl, lost her sister, and I wanted to pass along my sympathies to Michelle and her family. And I want to mention a big thank you and to the staff. Back a little over a week ago, I had a resident that I was talking to a couple of days ago on an issue that her daughter goes to St. Peter's Junior High, and she was telling me about her daughter losing her ring at school. And now I saw an email that came out earlier from the principal at the school, but I had this written down to mention before because I've actually spoken to the mother of the child that lost her ring, and she was very upset, and the ring had a lot of sentimental value for this child and for this young lady, and our staff was called in for an issue for anyway. They managed to find the ring. Not only did they find that ring, but they found a cell phone and several other rings and that. And the mother wanted me to say thank you to the 4 staff members from the city that went over and above to find the young lady's ring, and wanted to say that's what it's all about, going over and above. And like I say, when people ask me to do something, I say consider it done. And when we did our big campaign a number of years ago, consider it done, that we won a number of awards for, that's what it's all about, being there for our residents. And I was so proud to say that I'm not only a resident of this fine city, but a member of council, know that our staff is doing such great work. So Director Antle, could you please pass along to the staff and say thank you on behalf of that resident?
Well
And
said.
I wanted also to mention about the bingo. I've attended the 3 bingos now that the Sports Alliance have had. They're looking at doing maybe 1 or 2 more before the season gets too cold. They've been watching the weather. I was talking to the staff up at Sports Alliance yesterday afternoon, and they said it's not a big money maker, but it's getting people out and getting to know about Sports Alliance. It's not all about making money, but getting their name out there, especially in the midst of COVID. Every cent helps, and it's certainly great for the money that they raised to put money back in the sport here in Mount Pearl. And that is it for me.
Okay, thank you, councillors.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Absolutely. Okay, thank you. We'll move on now to Councillor Fry.
Thank you. I do have a few things this evening, if you don't mind indulging me here.
Please.
I just wanted to talk about a few things that we've been participating in over the last couple of weeks. And on September the 27th, I attended the Police and Peace Officer Memorial. And you know, this one, I love this one every year. It's the Newfoundland and Labrador Peace and Police Officers 18th Annual Memorial Service, and it takes place annually on the last Sunday in September at the memorial on Confederation Hill by Confederation Building. And this memorial is dedicated to the memory of those police and peace officers who've lost their lives in the performance of their duties while protecting the lives and property of the people and natural resources of the province of Newfoundland and Labrador. And of course, we have our municipal enforcement officers here with the city who take part in this. Constable Derek Hines was there representing our city, and he's one of our municipal enforcement officers. But also Constable Georgina Short of the Royal Newfoundland Constabulary, who is a Mount Pearl resident. She's the founder and president of Newfoundland and Labrador Police and Peace Officers Memorial Association. And the work that she has done is truly outstanding. She discovered at one point, she realized that there was no memorial of sorts for fallen members of the police and peace associations, police and peace officer organizations. And she developed this and she created it and she built it and she fundraised and she got people involved and she rallied, and together they built the memorial, which is really quite an accomplishment. So that's something that we should all be proud of. Another outstanding Mount Pearl resident. As well, on Thursday, October the 1st, I had the pleasure of participating in a fireside chat through FCM featuring the Honorable Miriam Monsef, and she's the Minister responsible for Women and Gender Equality and Rural Economic Development. And you know, this was a really interesting session. It was a virtual event to explore the challenges and breakthroughs in the area of diversity and inclusion across all areas of government. And it was an open chat where there was open dialogue and people could ask questions. But one of the things that I wanted to mention here, I mean, there were various topics, of course, but one of the things that stood out to me is a statistic that she gave from Statistics Canada back in April, where 1 in 10 women are very or extremely concerned about violence in their home. And that stuck with me because like 1 in 10, that is significant. And especially given COVID and people being confined to their houses and things, you know, I bring this forward basically because I want to make it on top of people's minds that if you see somebody who you feel or you suspect may be in a situation like that, reach out to them. And sometimes all you need is somebody else there that you can confide in, because that's an alarming statistic. And as I said, especially now with COVID and people being confined more so to their homes, they're not out and about as much. So I thought that was really interesting. There's another quote that she said, and she said, if some of the most powerful women, because part of the conversation was, of course, about women leaders, female leaders who are targets of social media bashing and so on and so forth. She said, if some of the most powerful women are targets of or experiencing attacks, imagine how everyone else is treated. And you know, it was very eye-opening. Anyway, I just wanted to bring that forward because to me that's very important. On Thursday, October the 1st, we had our MNL Municipal Health Task Force meeting, Municipalities Newfoundland and Labrador, the Mental Health Task Force meeting. And this is a meeting of municipal representatives from across Newfoundland and Labrador. And the goal is to, well, there's several goals, of course, but we want to work to make mental health more accessible, more talked about, more readily available to help with the stigma. I know that mental health is typically a provincial jurisdiction, but we all have to play a part in it. And somebody said at that meeting, you know, the food bank started somewhere as an idea. Now it's in every community. So the more we talk about it, the more we work on it, the more we bring it forward, the more we publish the resources that are available, and the more that we help each other, the better we will all be in the long run, because really there's no difference between physical health and mental health. And everybody has mental wellness. Sometimes you can have a bad day, you could have a lot of stress. Well, then you're not mentally well on that day. So everybody plays a role in that. On Sunday, October the 4th, I took in the Sport Alliance Drive-In Bingo, and I can't tell you how happy I was to see people and faces rather than on Zoom meetings and telephone calls, but to see people in our residents. All I wanted to do was go and hug everybody, which I can't do. This COVID. Anyway, it was so great to see people out and about and see people supporting our Sport Alliance, because of course that's a very, very important sport. Is so important, especially for our kids. And just wanted to let people know that the next bingo will be taking place on Sunday, October the 18th. And as well, I also wanted to bring your attention to an event that's coming up through the Admiralty House, and it's called a Halloween Crafternoon and Ghost Hunt. And I went to this one last year, and I was so impressed with it. If I can only imagine what kids would feel if they went there. When I went in there, my eyes just opened up, and the ghost hunt that they had outside on the grounds and everything. And you know, this is really worth going to. So I just wanted to pass along. They're having 6 different times this year. It's going to take place on Saturday, October the 17th and Saturday the 24th. And there are 3 times each day, 10 o'clock in the morning, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So I strongly encourage people to get out and enjoy that one, because it's not things are changing so much now with COVID, but I can tell you that this one will be worth going to. And that's it for me here. I hope everybody has a safe and happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, Miss. I just have one question. Did you win at bingo?
I didn't play bingo. I was selling cards. Yes.
Okay, so you're not allowed to play afterwards. You're selling the cards. How about you, Councillor Stolz? Did you win?
No, I did 50-50.
Okay, all right.
I never played bingo.
Okay.
If it was a game of cards,
Yeah.
I'd be there, but not
Well,
bingo.
maybe that's a future fundraiser they could look at, Councillor Stolz, is your card game. Okay, that brings us to Councillor Antle for new business, please.
I could almost say whatever they said, I said. But I said that anyhow. Well, last week I talked about the Sports Alliance bingo. I think we all helped out with the Sports Alliance. Well, I had the pleasure of working with Councillor Stolz selling those 50-50 tickets. You should sit down and watch Councillor Stolz sell tickets. She could be a professional ticket seller, I'm telling you now. Right?
I used to be a professional ticket seller.
Yeah.
That was one of my jobs in my former life, was working for fundraising. I actually have my certificate in fundraising management from the university, actually.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm not very good at it, but I had a lot of fun doing it. And I worked with, last week I worked with Karen Barnes, and she knew the prices like she was. They were marketing specialists. So, I mean, the Sports Alliance bingo, the Councillor Fry says, a good chance to see other people. We finally get out a chance to talk to people again. So I think that's why that bingo was so important. Just a couple of things for me. On September the 4th, myself and Councillor Fry and Councillor Stolz attended the check presentation for the food banks. You might remember this started off in March or April with all the church groups here in the city of Mount Pearl. We're trying to figure out how we can raise money for the food banks. So we did a GoFundMe page in which the city of Mount Pearl donated $5,000 to start that off. And then we used the residents to donate. Many people are supporting food banks through their own churches and however else they want to do it. But through this GoFundMe page, we raised and we donated and we gave on September the 24th to all 3 food banks here in the city of Mount Pearl, $13,650. So well done. We had a meeting last night with the food banks. Myself and Councillor Fry went and attended a meeting with the food banks. There's more to come. But Con and Sandra Milmore brought up that the draw right now for the food banks is outpacing a year ago. And they consider it's going to get worse. So when you think about, we just came off of COVID. We're still in COVID and we're still in this pandemic. And right now, the food banks now are outpacing a year ago. So what's it going to be like in February? So there's lots of things to come. The Park Avenue Pentecostal Church this weekend are having a food bank and a food drive on their parking lots. And that's going to be it's October the 7th, and that's going to go from 6:30 to 7:30. And that's Thursday. That's tomorrow night. All right. So they're going to have a food drive. So whatever we can do to help out the food banks is certainly appreciated. We should send out just a quick note. Last week, Chief Sherry Coldford promoted one of her own as a resident of City Mount Pearl. Congratulations to Roger Hounsel. He is now the Deputy Chief of Operations for the Regional Fire Department. And I think whenever we get a chance, Your Worship, we should send a congratulatory letter to Deputy Chief Hounsel on his accomplishments.
Absolutely.
And as Councillor Stoll said earlier on, consider it done. A few days ago, I guess I'm always walking the trails in Mount Pearl. I spoke to one of the residents. I did the Branscome's Pond Trail. And the resident brought up that one of the benches were broken on our trail over in Branscome's Pond Park. And I think I contacted Director Rental and Mr. Dallamont on a Tuesday or Wednesday. And I went back over in that park on Friday and it was fixed. So well done to IPW. It was so quick. I mean, that's consider it done. You know, you mentioned it one day, they saw it was a hazard and they fixed it right away. So I think our staff really, when you get a chance, they do it right away. And I mean, maybe no wonder we're so proud of our staff. And that's everything for me, Your Worship. Nice and quick.
That's great. Well,
Just
thank you.
One note. I had to bring it up. I just forgot. My Director Rental brought it up. And before Mayor Jim Parsons out in the city of Corner Brook calls me, my son lives in Massey Drive. He does not live in Corner Brook. He's on the volunteer fire department for the town of Massey Drive. So I want to be clear on that.
Okay.
So, all right.
Thanks for the clarification. I wouldn't want any disputes here. Okay, well, thank you for all that. And you guys touched on most of the items that I was going to speak to as well. And you all spoke so well regarding them. But I just want to bring up some news that I received today. And this involves a teacher at Mount Pearl Senior High, Mr. Paul King. Some of council members may know Mr. King. He's involved with the robotics team that's gone away internationally year over year. And today we just received notice that he was the recipient of the Prime Minister's Award for Teaching Excellence. And he received his award in the Teaching for Excellence in Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics. And it's for people that develop the culture and innovation that Canada needs for today and into the future. And they're honored for their remarkable achievements in education and for their commitment to preparing their students for digital and innovation-based economy. So Mr. King, Paul King, colleague of mine, he's been working in the city of Mount Pearl for probably 15 or 16 years now. So I just want to highlight that as an example of excellence again that we have within our city and in all categories, all walks of life here. So I too, with the leave of council, I'd like to send a letter of congratulations in concert with the one that Councillor Rental has highlighted as well. So that's it. That's all I have. Thank you to our senior staff here for joining us here today and all your support in getting our reports ready for this evening. Of course, to Ms. Lewis for her continuous work. And with that, I'll call for a motion to adjourn. Moved by Councillor Fry and seconded by Councillor Antle. We are adjourned. Thank you, guys.